following Willie more and more. Back in the NRL. There's Willie Mason.
That's forgotten how big Willie actually is.
Perhaps the presence of Willie and the Panthers looking at his imposing frame.
I'm a 25-minute man. Oh, you got skill, son.
Uppercut right hand by Big Willie.
Too fancy for you.
This is the Handshake Agency Podcast.
Welcome to Season 2 of, and wait for it, William, it's The Take with Willie and Ian. The people have spoken.
Ooh, you got in early, hey?
Well,
look, have a look. Willie and Ian.
Yeah, that's right. Looks
How do you
good,
reckon you
doesn't
got
it?
on there? The people
voted.
need to understand the amount of whinging that went on behind the stages, bro. It was ridiculous. Head to head with the producer going, look, I need my name on it. I need it.
Up in
The
lights.
people need to
People
know
want it.
Ian Burns on this show.
I'm the people's champ.
Yeah, no, it's good. It fits. You know.
For the record, I don't like it. But anyway, it's
I know,
it's
yeah,
up there
actually,
now.
for the record, people, they need to know. Like, it was like, let's leave it with Willie Mason. I'm like, no, this is both of us in this. So I'm glad it looks good. I'm not sure what the people think. Write in just write a letter in.
Write a letter.
Email it or something like that. I've just figured out email. The Take with Willie and Ian. Sounds good.
So this year, it'll be more of the same. Just tune in. But
Yeah.
basically, today is going to be more of a preview show. So we're going to talk more about the ladder and predictions, and we're going to come up with who we think is going to win, all the things that are going to win. But before we go into that, let's just catch up. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Well, not for us, but it's been a while since people have heard
When was that
you.
last? Was it last Origin, wasn't it?
Origin. Yeah, I vaguely remember it.
Devastating.
We'd had a couple.
We don't remember.
Now, the main thing that I want to talk about with you, William,
Yep.
the charity All-Star Boxing Fight Night,
Yeah.
that was a bit of fun.
It was. That's probably the only serious thing I did in the whole preseason, I suppose. Nick Livermore, who does a great job. He was the one running it with Dean Lonigan, and he asked me probably about I reckon November, early November, if I wanted to do it. And I was like, I wasn't that keen. I was not keen at all. I just thought that sort of. I know the amount of work that you have to do to get into the boxing ring, and as time went, I was already in good shape anyway, all that kind of stuff. I only made a decision about, I think, 2 days before Christmas. I was like, yeah, I'll fight. Let's go. And I didn't care who it was or anything like that. So it was very exciting. And then just give me a goal, just to train harder, train smarter. Had a good team around me. Trent Langlands was good. So that was really fun. It was just to get out there. I suppose when we were talking about the whole week, and why are you fighting? I was like, fuck, I don't know why I'm fighting. And does it tick a box? No, I've already fought in the ring. Maybe it was that maybe that when you get on that field, it's a different feeling. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, maybe I was sort of yearning for that. Which I wasn't either. I just wanted to get in the ring and fucking punch someone in the head.
Maybe
I didn't really want to say that, but I'm like, maybe I just want to get in there and hit some fucking dude in the head and not get in trouble. And that was probably about it. Because I don't really need all that kind of stuff. I don't miss the game. I don't go, I miss that feeling of running out. I'm like, I remember those things. You can't replicate it again.
You are,
And
I
love that, and I remember it. But I'm not that dude to chase that feeling. I don't miss the game. I love the game. I don't miss everything because I always lived in the moment. I wasn't that sort of dude never to go, I never took Origin for granted. I never took my test for granted. I never took a grand final for granted. I never did. I embraced it and loved it. That's why I can easily transition into retirement because I lived every moment.
I think, honestly, the amount of training that you put in, I don't reckon I've seen you that fit. You were lean. You're a filthy, annoying athlete anyway, the way you train and you just pop up straight away. But I reckon you were as fit as I've seen you in a long time. And, I have seen you for a long time training, and this was different, the way it was trained.
Yeah, it was. I mean, Trent Langlands did a great job. But I think people get it twisted because they go, geez, you look lean. I'm like, yeah, you lose so much muscle mass.
Yeah.
When we were playing, you don't realize how jacked you are. Like, because all you do is just like weights, squats, sprints, everything. You're just built for the game. You lose so much muscle mass. And even though like my weight was about 116, I was 116 when I was playing.
Yeah.
But it was full on muscle.
Yeah.
Like now it's just I was a little bit leaner. And, I'll put that work in as well. So it was great for a lot of the guys up there were they did it for the right reasons.
One thing that annoyed me, and I probably should have talked to you about this beforehand, but we've seen it with Paul Gallen and the interview with Lucas Brown, and saying he had bitch tits, and the carry on that goes on around boxing. Now, what you did was a charity fight, and yet you had a couple of blokes come out, and they kind of made it personal. Like I know you didn't find it as personal, but it annoyed me as one of your oldest and one of your best mates. I did find it offensive that these blokes were coming out. Like, I just wanted to punch his head off.
Yeah, I understand that, and everyone was sort of like that. But I think the media just play on that sort of shit. I know what the media is like. They really can't have a crack at me for anything. They bring up old shit. I don't really give a shit what they say. They know they can't really get to me. I've been through the ringer a million times, and now it's all of a sudden the teeth thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's just fucking petty. And I give it no energy.
No,
I mean, like Sammy and like Hodjo said some shit. I don't give a fuck what they say. I never have. I never will.
Yeah.
And I really don't give a fuck about what the media say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We do a press conference and some dickhead just goes, of all the questions that ask, they go, so what about your teeth? I'm like, really? Fuckwit? Like, of all the questions you can ask, we're trying to build up a fight, you ask about that shit. And I felt sorry for him because I just brushed it and just didn't really care. But I don't know. That's the sort of energy that happens, and it's pathetic. And it's just journalism. It's just what it is. It's fucked up.
So it was a journo who said it to you. I remember there was one press
they just
conference.
kept going. I just kept laughing at it because I just did not care. I don't really care.
Being the human headline, I knew it would end up somewhere. But I can always tell with you when you're pissed off because you do this little thing with your neck. You just
I just want to fucking hit
so,
someone.
yeah. All right. Well, that's news. That's a Willie Mason.
What about
news.
you? What do you do?
Mate, I'm boring. I do nothing. I've just been hanging there waiting to come back on the show and talk to you and drink beers. Although I'm not drinking beers, I'm doing a liver detox.
What are you doing? You're doing it with ELAB. Shout out to ELAB, Trent Langlands,
yeah.
Mark Mitchell.
Well, shout out to them for making me do this because it's just
because I went to your house. I got an Uber to your house, obviously, because I'm sensible. Because I have some beer. I'm having some beers tonight.
Yeah.
I go into your house and there's nothing but Brussels sprouts, broccoli, and celery.
Awful.
I couldn't believe it. What's happening?
I genuinely don't understand. And here you are getting hand-delivered beers by the arsehole
Mm.
producer, and I'm sitting here drinking celery juice, honestly. So that's what I've been doing.
Why are you doing it?
Because my wife said I had to.
She
Anyway,
say
let's
something?
move on. What? No.
What's she trying to say? Anna, come on.
What's everyone trying to say? My liver's fine. They reckon toxins come out of it. I haven't seen any yet. Mine are too deep-seated. All right, so this off-season has been an interesting one, I think. One thing has dominated the press, and that's Cam Smith and whether he's going to play or not. I reckon this is the greatest troll of all time. The bloke has not said one word, and everyone's losing their mind. Oh, he should be doing this. He hasn't said one thing. Everyone's talking about it. The bloke has not opened his mouth.
How bad is it? I mean, are we that short for a headline? Is the media are they chasing something that bad? There's not enough drama. That caused them. I remember a couple of years ago they would have been having a field day of all the shit that was happening. But now these, the NRL players, young kids have sort of pulled their head in a bit, and now they're just sort of trying to get Cameron Smith to either retire or not retire. Who cares? I think he's warranted to do whatever the fuck he wants to do.
Yeah.
Obviously he's not going to play for the Melbourne Storm. You got Harry Grant, you got Brandon Smith down there. He's moved up to Queensland. He hasn't put a boot on all off season. No one's seen him, and we just keep chasing him around. I think he was in the crowd on the weekend, and they took a photo, spotted Cameron Smith. They're just trying to get something out of him. He's too smart, man. He's too wily. And if one person deserves to do whatever the hell he wants, it's Cam Smith. He's doing a Tom Brady, I swear. I hope he just turns up on next Wednesday and he's either in the Broncos or Titans.
Yeah.
I hope he does that because he's always going to stay fit. I don't think he'd actually have to train. He could just roll straight into round one and play all 24 games, and he could do it easy. But just leave him alone. It's pathetic. It's pathetic journalism again. But that's the only big drama in the whole preseason.
I'll tell you what this
Not
reminds
only.
me of. There's been a few. We'll leave them alone. But I was in Turkey years ago. I was backpacking, and I went to this joint, and it was an internet cafe, and then I had a couple of little Turkish things, and the bloke comes upstairs, he goes, do you want to buy a rug? And I said, no, I don't want to buy a rug. And he goes, what about this? He's showing me all these rugs, and he's like, $500, $400. And I didn't say one word. I just sat there, Mate, ended up buying a rug for about $10 because he just kept bringing the price down. That's like Cameron Smith. The more he keeps his mouth shut, the more his price goes up.
They hate it.
The
They-
Broncos
they
will be
just
going,
hate it.
we'll get him. We'll just throw $1 billion at him.
And he's worth it. He
Yeah.
was like Dally M, Hooker of the Year last year, Captain of the Year, whatever he got. He was a gun.
He's 63
won the
years
premiership.
old.
Won the premiership. I think there's one bloke that you can just leave alone, but they just don't like that. The media hate that, and he plays the media game really well. They don't know what to do.
What the other bloke on the other end of the spectrum, so you got Cameron Smith, who the wily old fox, and then you've got the young kid coming through. Now, we sort of left it alone a bit last year, Suwali, because we just wanted to let him make a decision. You know, all of the press and everything. He's a 17-year-old kid. He's made that decision now, and so what he needs to understand is that he's now in the public eye. Mm-hmm. He's come out on the weekend, played Reggie's for the Roosters and scored a couple of tries. He looked superb.
He did.
Is he that good?
I think he is. I was fortunate to do a little bit of work with him this year with Roger Fabry and have a really good chat to him and just talk about the stuff that we talked about last year with the right people around him, the right team, people coming out with the right things to say about him, because we spoke about it last year. He was front and back page and he hadn't said a word. And, you know, I told him how NRL players feel, you know, like they don't like that sort of stuff, you know, like guys getting massive money, he's swapping codes, he's swapping teams, he's changing this and that, you know, and he hasn't said one word. You know, I just, you know, gave him that sort of advice. Just make your decision, stick to it, and then just play.
You were heaps good at not saying stuff too.
Yeah,
That
I
was
know.
one of your main skills.
Yes, it was.
But
he come out on the weekend and he was unbelievable. Like he's 16 years old. Like he's playing against I think the guys, I think it was at Canberra. He's playing against some blokes that have coming back from injury. The crazy redhead's coming back from his ACL last year, so he wants to come out. You got centers, you got all these aspiring NRL players. You know what I mean? And he goes in and scores 2 tries, and the 2 tries he scored was pure strength.
Yeah.
So the kid is strong as hell. I mean, when I spoke to him, I'm eye level with him. He's like 6'4", 6'5". He's about 106 kilos. Quick, strong, fast, skill. Oh man, he's gonna be an amazing player. He's playing against grown ass men in rugby league. He's been playing union. Like the kid's gonna be a freak. I mean, I think the raps on him has been bigger than Sunnyville and bigger
Union
than Israel
players
Folau.
are tougher though.
Traditionally, the union
Traditionally,
players are
much
really,
tougher.
really tough.
And also, one thing that I liked was that second try he scored, he's gone off his right foot on the 15-metre line and he scored under the post. His legs are about 40 metres long. I just
like-
went, that's the biggest. How do you get?
It's like if Sonny Bill, Greg Inglis, and Israel Folau had a kid. It'd be.
He does have a lot of the Israel.
He's
Folau
just
about
a
him.
freak, but he's got all the silky skills. I'm not sure. I think he'll definitely debut this year. I think he'll see some really big honours. It's a matter of time.
Yeah.
The kid is a freak, and he's tough. His defensive decisions, he was coming up and in at the right time, and he was impressive.
One thing that the trials showed is these rule changes they've really sped the game up. Some bloke from Parramatta was sort of saying that he felt like, you know, the rule changes were too much almost. He couldn't get his breath. But
Who was that?
they didn't say who it was because you wouldn't want to have your name attached to that quote. would
Mitchell
you?
Moses? I'm joking, Mitch.
So, yeah, look,
Sevo?
to say, he
He's a
just
winger.
stands on the wing. I think, so the producer, he doesn't do much. And what he has done is he's written them all down for us because, I mean, I would have just remembered them off the top of my head.
Easily.
So the introduction of a 2-point field goal for kicks, don't care. Although people will have a crack at that.
I mean, it's going to be relative to where the game clock is. If it's like, I seen Reynolds have a crack on it, the Charity Shield. It was like, 40 seconds ago, he was on the 50 and he had a crack on it. It was like 28-0 anyway. But, I mean, I think though, you are purposely not going to go. If you get a penalty on your 40, you kick it, you get out just over halfway. You're not going to go 2 shots to the middle so I can have a drop goal. That's going to be situational football if there's 30 seconds on the clock.
And someone else has one in front for a field goal.
Yes,
It's not-
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's about it. Or you're 2 behind or something. It's just desperation. You need 2 points to either even the game or to win the game.
Yeah.
You know, and even if it's 1 point behind, you're probably going to push further just for that 1 point. You're not going to try and go for the win.
No.
That's not, I'm all about analytics, and that wouldn't be it.
6 again to be called for 10-metre infringements.
Yeah. That's brutal. That was last year, and they're just going to continue that. I think it's a really good rule. The middle guy, I just feel for the middle boys. All I can just think of is just like penalty after penalty after penalty, like making back-to-back sets. We saw it last year. They cost games. Definitely tries. You can't go. Just say if you're coming out of yardage, just say you got a 20-metre tap. They've just kicked it dead. 20-metre tap. Boom, boom, boom. Get to the fourth tackle. Penalty. Ruck infringement or offside or whatever it is. 6 to go. Then you get to their 40. 6 to go. Next minute you're camped on their 10. 6 to go. Bang, try. Yeah. That's how easy things can happen. We watched that last year, and it happened so many times because not many people can get through, those 3 sets of 6 straight away. And even if they do get through the 3 or 4 sets of 6, their next set is so fatigued, and then everybody gets down and as a defensive unit and smashes them. They'll probably make 20 to 30 metres and then get the kick, and then they're back on the halfway. And then usually that's an attacking set, and then they score. Yeah, that's what that's what was happening last year because they get crippled off that because they've been attacking all the time. So it stuffs with your mental capacity there. You've been attacking the whole, just say for 2 sets, and then you put a shit kick in, and then that happens. The 3 sets, and then you get 1, and then bang. Usually it's a try. It happens all the time because they can't deal with it mentally. So these young kids, they've got a hell of a job, and these young kids, especially in the middle, it just deflates you, and you've got to keep turning up and turning up and turning up. 8 interchanges, all that kind of stuff. You just got to get fit. Everybody, like these athletes, like these big Polynesian kids that are dominating the game, now they've evolved and they've gotten fit, and then they've got to get fitter again because remember, as I said, like Taumalolo in 2010-11 couldn't play more than 25 minutes. Now he plays 80 and dominates. And now, you got all these big guys, Takayaho, Jarrell Hargraves, all these guys. They all play some big minutes, man. They're playing 70 minutes. And so the game is still trying to fatigue the big boys. It's not working.
I sound fatigued.
It's fatigue, actually just thinking about it. And I'm just like, wow, it's going to play with and it's going to, the mentally strong kids will come through and the mentally strong teams.
What we'll do is, with these other rules, we'll say good for the game or not good for the game.
Okay.
All right? Because that's
what
we do. We analyse.
Yes, a massive analyse.
Penalties for team if they leave a scrum before the referee calls break.
I think it's good.
Imagine.
Do you think I should elaborate?
No.
I think what they're trying to do? They're trying to get
backspace.
They're trying to get one-on-ones. What they're trying to get with people at home, guys that have been watching the game for the last 20 years, the lock's usually breaking out. The 5'8" can't get the ball, can't step off his left foot, can't step off his right foot because locks and back rolls are jamming your ribs. So understand that. So when the ball gets out and they say clear, that 5'8" could be well gone, he could be stepping over, and then they get a genuine shot. That's what they're trying to do because the forwards are so quick and athletic. You cover so much ground. People don't understand that, and that's what the game's trying to do. They're trying to you stay here, let these backs go one-on-one or whoever's in that back line. That's what they want.
I wish they'd bring back pushing in the scrums. That was a good old days.
They should be happy they're in a scrum.
Oh, it's a break. Anyway, a play the ball restart if the ball or player with the ball goes over the sideline. So they're basically saying we've got special rules for scrums, but then the next rule they're saying we're not going to have scrums anymore.
They're quite confusing to dissect all these kind of things. I think.
So that's just getting rid of scrums.
This will be a fitness thing, but this will be a fitness thing as well. Just say if you are traditionally a fit team and you've just say the Bulldogs. Usually they're a fit team and they would just try and kick it out on purpose, knowing that it's going to be a 15-metre play the ball instead of the scrum. And then you can back your defence to just go up and in and just bang the shit out of that team. If you're not a really good defense, you're not going to do that. You're not going to kick it out on purpose. You're not going to do anything like that. You're probably going to try and keep the ball in play. But because it's only 15 metres in, imagine if you're put the shoe on the other foot, if you're an attacking team and fit as hell and knowing that the defense, and just say it was a shit kick, knowing that the defense isn't that good, you're going to have a really good shot at it. So it's all about field position and all that kind of stuff, and knowing your team, and halfbacks knowing how tired your middle blokes are. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's going to be one of those. Halfbacks got to be all about the forwards, which they usually are anyway. But this thing could change the game.
Well,
I don't think many teams are going to be kicking out on purpose.
Well, the only time there's going to be scrums,
but because they hate it. But the reason why they're doing that rule is because when it's just say 2 minutes to go, and you're on your fourth tackle, and they kick it straight out, 30, 40 seconds to get to the scrum, all that sort of bullshit. Instead of fucking bang, 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 get it on the 15 metre, you have a crack.
Yeah,
that's what they're doing it for. They're not doing it for like to speed the game up. They're doing it because sometimes at the end of the game, you can kill the clock. So I understand that if you understand the game, you know what I mean. If you're a supporter of the game, understand that they're only doing that because of that.
So good.
Yes, it is good if you need to score.
Yeah.
If I'm fucking on if I'm on the other team, kick it out. That's what I'm saying. But then you're like, oh, well, then we'll probably have to have a decent kick to try and keep it in.
The next rule.
So it's all about managing the clock.
The bunker will now review replays after an on-field referee awards a try, but the conversion attempt will not be allowed until it gets the green light.
Yeah. I don't care about the bunker.
I don't care about that.
I don't care. They usually fuck something up.
It's just
bad for the bunker is bad for the game. Full stop.
Injured players will be interchanged if a trainer asks for play to be stopped.
Great for the game, because if you're an idiot if you think the trainers are on the field and you've got a bruised nipple, and they go and stop the game. You know what I mean? Like they're stopping the game for anything.
Yeah.
The refs have just got to be smart and go, look, the kid's knocked out. Yeah, stop the game. Like there's a little bit of onus on the refs as well. Have a look at the fucking dude. He's just getting his hamstring stretched. Why are you stopping the game for?
Yeah.
How many times everyone says that? Like we watched that. Like, he's got his hair. He's cramping up. Fucking let the game go.
Yeah.
Can you see that? No, you can't. Well, just fucking do your job. Sorry, refs. They bring the badge back anyway.
Well, you'll like this one. When a captain's challenge is inconclusive, a team will not be docked for an unsuccessful attempt. So that just goes into if the bunker don't know what's going on.
See,
like
that's
not good for
people
the game.
just fucking hate these rules, man. I understand some of them as a former player, and I know how it can improve the game and all that kind of shit. But like this, when you just said that to me, I just blank out.
I'll tell you what this reminds me of in the cricket when they have the DRS and then they go umpire's call and the ball's clearly hitting the stumps and you go, what do you mean? Yeah. It's just showing it's hit the stumps. Anyway, this is another bunker. That's ball, no good. A handover will be ordered when a player does not make a genuine attempt to play the ball correctly with their foot.
It's going to kill coaches. It'll kill someone. It'll kill coaches because they're not saying. Remember a couple of years ago, the refs were going crazy if you weren't striking it with your foot.
Yeah,
just attempt. Please attempt it. Don't just throw it through your legs.
Put your foot on it.
We all know how to play the ball since we're 5 years old, and all of a sudden you just want to throw it through your legs. That is not even a natural movement. If you're a rugby league player, you don't do that. It's not Oztag or anything like that. Whatever touch football, you don't dump it, put it through your legs. But that's terrible. It'll kill coaches.
Yeah, they have enough stress. Look at them; they look awful. One last thing, Will. Expansion team, Brisbane. Will your man be coaching it?
I think Wayne Bennett will. I think. Why wouldn't you get him? Why wouldn't you get him? Yeah. He's the best. I mean, if it didn't really solidify how great he was how great he was, of all time last year, winning that Origin, I think that's crazy how he did that. Oh, and with South Sydney this year, I think they're going to go close. I think they'll be up there. They got the roster there. He's the best. He's the best coach in the game. And if you're going to start a franchise, which I hope they do, I think the game's ready for an expansion. I'm sick of some older players, and even I was sort of at that attitude a couple of years ago. The game's not. We don't have enough talent. Yeah, I think we do. I think at that stage, if it was 2 or 3 years ago, because we had so many great players retire from the game, we didn't. These young kids, it's a production line. That's what we do. We just breed these young kids, and by 2023, we'll be ready for a team. And Wayne's he's the best guy for it. He's off contract this year. He'll probably just be a part of the team next year with the promotions, with the media, getting players.
Yeah. I'll be stealing players left, right,
like
and
Cam. I think Munster and a few gun players are off. They're all from Brisbane. I think their mentality is to grab those young kids that are from Queensland playing in Sydney and further than Sydney, down in Melbourne, and bring them back home.
And Cameron Smith's only 47 in 2023.
Are you going to sign a 5-year deal, Cam Smith?
8-year deal, I heard.
Yeah, 10-year deal. He's doing a Taumalolo. He's going to do a 10-year deal.
All right, William, what we're going to do is we are going to now go through every single team because we're thoughtful and we know that we have a wide range of people that listen to the show that support all sorts of shit-house teams. So we're going to go reverse ladder order of last year. So what I want to know, I want to say we'll start with the Broncos because they got the spoon. Mm-hmm. Let's have a look at some of the players that they've bought and some of the players that they've lost. They've basically, of all the players that matter, they've lost Fafita, obviously, and they've lost Andrew McCulloch.
Yeah.
They've gained Dale Copley. Asiata's a good footballer.
Good. David Mead.
David
Mead had some really good years over in the Catalans.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like it's different. It's a different level.
So, I mean, Kevy Waters is obviously the coach now.
They stay where they are, which is dead last.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for Kevy. He's a great guy, and I think it's going to be a couple of years. Look at the losses: McCulloch, Fafita, Darius Boyd, Matt Gillett, Sullivan, Jack Bird, Offengawe, Hopewadi, Jordan Kahu, Kenner, Vidoka, Isaac Luke, all these sort of blokes. I mean, there's a couple of household names there. You've lost so much experience and have not bought anyone. Yeah. They're just going to be down there, the cellar dwellers for the next couple of years. That's just the way it is. I think everybody's really disappointed and fooled the last 30 years. The Broncos have always been in top four, always been amongst it. Going the Broncos will win. They've lost that. It's the salary cap. This is what's happened. It's a salary cap effect, and I just hate to say it. I mean, if you're a Broncos fan, you're going to be down there for a while.
Do you reckon any improvement? They reckon they're going to pick Brody Croft over Tom Dearden.
Bit.
Which I think,
like, who cares? I mean, like, Brody Croft was terrible last year.
That's right.
It's not like you're trying to say you got Cam Munster or some freaks there. No, I'm not impressed with their roster at all. I just think they're going to be like down the bottom somewhere, like definitely in the top, definitely in the bottom four.
Yeah,
all year.
Yeah,
and I'm not sure how much pressure they're going to put on like a Payne Haas, and he's been injured in the off season. But losing Fafita and all these sort of blokes, these young kids that are just, you don't lose to David Fafita unless your culture's wrong.
All right, so the Bulldogs finished 15th. They have gone on a massive buying spree, William. They've got Kotrick, they've got Corey Allen, they've got Jack Hetherington, who I love. They got Kyle Flanagan after the Roosters punted him. They bought Corey Waddell from
Matt
Manly.
Dury.
He's all right.
Yeah, I like him.
Who'd they lose?
Foles, Kieran Holland, Montoya, Tolman, Suase Sue, Cogger, Tim Lafayette, and they're not massive losses.
No one that you.
Yeah, I think they're going to be really big improvers.
Yeah.
I went down there and had a good talk with Bazish. I reckon a couple of months ago. They look primed, which I could say. Which every team says that. Oh, we look great preseason, but they've got a game plan.
Have they been training the house down?
Yeah, all that sort of shit. But I don't think they were training the house down, considering what some of the S&Cs and that were saying. The targets that they were supposed to meet and the targets they're meeting now, totally different.
Yeah, and
they weren't really reaching those benchmarks, and now they are. They look big, strong, fast. Flanagan, he's going to improve so much. This year he's going to run that whole team around. You've got Kotrick. I think he's going to be amazing this year. Corey Allen, don't underestimate that kid. He had a great year last year. Corey Waddell has always been off the bench for the Eagles. He's probably going to be a bench player. Jack Hetherington has got massive raps on. Like he would have been in that system last year for the Penrith Panthers, but he got injured just before the start of the year, and it cost him his spot because they were going so well. You're not going to change a winning team, but he's a beast.
He did so well when he played for the Warriors.
He's a beast, man. He's going to. And I tipped him. I tipped him a couple of years ago to play for New South Wales and Australia. So I think he's going to get those honours.
Yeah.
Not next year, but he'll be pushing, and I just think they'll be big improvers. And then you got to it's Foran and Kieran Holland, all these guys they're ready to go.
All right, so the Cowboys, I can't believe how bad the Cowboys were last year. They were just toilet.
Diabolical.
They were. So
Where'd they
they're
end up coming last year?
third last,
Awesome.
14th with the roster they had. I don't know. Yeah.
Well,
Anyway,
and I think everybody keeps giving them hope because have a look at their roster, look at the forward pack, and because Taumalolo just carries so much weight in that team, but their backs really struggle, their halves really struggle. They've struggled since JT, and Michael Morgan didn't help. Just being injured all year, he held so much energy in that team, and he's been off for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
If he plays a full season, I think they can push for the 8. I don't think they'll make the 8. But you still got McLean and all these other guys that can play some really good football, but they're just going to struggle with their halves, man.
You got Cohen Hess as well, who it's a big year for him because he came out of the blocks hard. He played Origin in his maybe second year, and then last year he ended up as a bench player. You can't go from being an Origin player to being a bench player. You've got to come back. He hasn't forgotten how to play football. Blokes don't forget how to play football.
I think, and it might be with the coaching this year. I think they'll be all right. Big Todd Payton's up there. He really gets his players, especially because he was a known ball player as a front rower. So I want his front rowers, Jordan McLean and Maguire, passing the ball. And I think you'll see that this year. They'll play a more expansive game. They'll get their big guys tipping the ball on and getting on the edges real quick, just to take some pressure off the halves. That's all it is. They've got to play some basic football. That's all. Anyone's sort of coaching thing would be like, if you're not that star-studded as a team, complete over 85%, get your effective tackles over 90%. There's all these little indicators to see how good you go. And these are the lower teams they have those indicators all the time.
apparently he wants Taumalolo to pass the ball a bit more too.
It'd be great for Taumalolo because he does like 20 to 25 touches a game.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot, man. He's still the best forward in the game.
All right, so Manly Sea Eagles, their season basically got one right up the blue.
There's so many fucking sheets on this. I'm so lost.
Trebojevic. Just leave it with me. I'm working it out as we go. So Trebojevic getting injured basically ended the start of their season, let's be honest.
I hope to God
they've lost
that he didn't.
Joel Thompson, Aden Fanua-Blake. Well, that's probably all the players that matter.
That's the big ones.
They're the two big ones. Corey Waddell was good for him.
Yeah.
Kieran Foran, will he play well this year? I don't know. It's hard to know. If he stays,
They didn't. Josh Alloway, he'll be really good for him.
Yeah,
him and Tapau up front. Like last year, man, they had a gun pack.
Yeah, they did.
No Sirinen, but they've lost Joel Thompson. Still got Jake Trebojevic. I'm not sure he's going to fill his role. Mate, they'll still be good, but Tom holds so much in that team, man. He's such a freakish player, and he takes so much pressure off Jake as a ball player and DCE. They need a decent 5'8". I'm not sure who's playing for them, or a decent centre. They got some all right players, man, but they're gonna be struggling. I think last year or the year before could have been their year when they could have pushed for an 8 or top 4 sort of spot. They're on the decline.
How just like I'm no expert on hamstrings, but surely there's someone in the world that can go, here, Tom Trebojevic, here's something you can do to stop ripping your hamstring every 2 seconds.
Oh, mate, it's frustrating if you're an Eagles fan. I mean, obviously his biomechanics are all messed up and he needs, some proper help. He's a genuine superstar of the game and one of the best young kids I've ever met. All I wanted for him is just to get a whole couple of seasons together.
Yeah.
We can see what he's like when he gets them together. He's the best player. He's one of the top 5 players in the world. So I just want him to be happy and be healthy, like mentally as well. Imagine that, like just copping it again.
Non-stop.
It's terrible. So, yep, I just think they'll struggle this year, but hopefully Tom does get the right thing. They've got to go off campus and try and help this kid. You can't. Obviously, what they're doing there is wrong.
When does Des Hasler stop being a super coach?
After this year.
He's given plenty of chances.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. So after that was had the Dragons finished 12th last year? They were just terrible.
They started off good.
That's true. They always do. The May Premiers. So the biggest thing for them obviously is the coach. So they've lost a fair few players, but bringing in Anthony Griffin It's either going to be genius or idiocy, because he's a sort of coach that seems to polarise people. Every club he goes to, I don't know whether
I haven't had a massive rap on him.
I don't know whether he's not good at talking to people. I don't know whether he's too hard on them. But Michael Maguire's hard on. I don't know.
It's a respect thing with coaches, man. Some coaches get into the game, and some players, what they do is look at coaches' resumes, and if it doesn't sort of suit up in their eyes and it doesn't equal up a little bit, they just don't give a shit what you're saying. Yeah. And I think he's in that category. I don't think, and he had that at the Broncos, where he had a star-studded team, and their egos sort of get the best of him, because you just, as I said, you look at a coach's credentials, the fuck have you done as a former player? You look at it and you just go, what's he done? Why is he telling me what to do? He's never played the game. He's never been in an Origin arena. He's never had a Test jersey. He's never done anything. I'm not saying this is what I was like, but I know how players think. This is what they do. They go, the fuck have you done for me? What have you done in the game? And they give you that. They give you that energy as well. They don't play for you 100%. Broncos never played for him. Ever. And the Dragons are going to struggle this year, man. If you go off, I don't really go off trials that much, but I go off some defensive situations, what they'll put in on the weekend in that Charity Shield. It's terrible.
Just while we're on the Dragons, where do you sit on Corey Norman getting suspended for getting into a stink where blokes attacked him, essentially?
What a load of shit. I think a lot of players, I think Alex Glenn wrote something on Instagram, which was quite inspiring and great. It was great from a current player, not a former player, current player. I think it's terrible what happened. I watched the video, I think about 3 weeks before it came out. I knew something was going to come out. And I watched the whole thing. They only show on mainstream media just that little, the 5 second sort of thing. I watched, it goes for about 2 minutes. These blokes were stalking Seguiaro and Norman down this laneway, and they start on Seguiaro, and Norman comes in to help him. This bloke just swims on him. And you watch Corey Norman not even do anything, just try and protect himself from getting hit. And then it all sort of breaks off, and then it's all done. Come on, man. And then you throw the kid to the wolves and get suspended. What's that fucking say? Just come and bash everyone.
What do you reckon? Yeah, as a
bash all the NRL players, please, that doesn't happen, man.
You do get approached a lot, and when you're out, I don't know why people want to talk to you. I don't. I have to though. But I can see how most people are always. You get the odd one that's a dickhead about it, but if someone's coming at you in an aggressive manner, and you're with your friends, and your friends just also happen to be footballers, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, that situation. I've never been in that situation.
They'd have to have rocks in their head to come at you.
Yeah, never. But when I watched that, I was like, damn, what's Seguiaro supposed to do? What's Corey Norman supposed to do? Let his mate get punched? It's just not. It's not built in him. And I just think they've made the wrong decision there.
Someone who took lots of punches last year, good segue, is the Warriors. As they had to move countries. They finished 10th last year in what was a really, really good finish to the season. I think they've bought quite well. They've lost a few players, but no one really that's going to affect their roster in a massive way.
Yep.
Obviously, losing Tuivasa-Sheck next year is going to affect them. But this year, they've got a new coach. They've got a good end to last year. Murdoch-Masela's a beast.
Benny Murdoch-Masila was an absolute gun over for the Tongan team in 2017, and for Warrington, Kane Evans, he's still, he shows glimpses of brilliance. I think over there, he might show some consistency. Aden Fanua-Blake,
yeah,
what an animal. Ewan Aiken, an animal. They've got some really good kids there. Like even Sean O'Sullivan, just a backup. Montoya, Bailey Sirinen, he's a good player. They've bought really well. I think that'll be a bit of a shock this year. I didn't realise the quality of players they bought. I reckon they've won that.
How do you reckon they'll go with another year away from home? Do you reckon last year being away from home for that period of time will have taught them how to do it a bit better, or do you reckon?
No, I just don't think so. Like last year, it was one of those years where you just had to think on your feet, and you did what you had to just to get on the field and play your best football. It'll take its toll this year.
Have they got their families with them this year, though?
I hope to God they have.
They surely.
I hope to God they have, and Yeah, I just think this year will take a bigger toll than they did last year because the unknown, you don't know. You just turn up to training, you're in that bubble, you play as hard as you can, you train as hard as you can, you have a siege mentality, you got to have, you have that attitude. This year it's like we're not home. We know we're not home. You know what I mean? I just think it's a different mindset because they know what they're in for. Maybe it can work for them, maybe not. This is going to be up to the leadership team and the coach. It's a big thing on the coach, man. They've got to really run that and then and live and breathe what they're doing.
They got
and
Gus
believe it. I mean, Gus can really like galvanise that team, but it's up to the players.
Yeah, and I did forget the Tigers. I'm sorry to all the Tigers fans out there. I just assumed you came 9th, so I didn't worry about you when you came 11th. I thought you were better than that, but they have bought well. They are definitely one of the sides that bought well. I think James Roberts looks as if he's fit and ready to go.
Yeah.
Big Carver's kid, Stefano, he's going to be a superstar.
Yep.
Tarmau's probably the buy of the season. And
Big Joe, yeah.
And Dane Laurie as well. So they just put a lot of points on in the trial on the weekend. I reckon they're a big improver.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they'll be pushing for an 8 spot. It's going to be hard with those teams that we just don't really know. If they're not a top 4 team, they're going to be like around about 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, which is hard. I'm still not sold on their halves. Like you can have the big forwards and the classy the classy centers and wingers and that. But if your halves aren't above average, you are going to struggle. And if you're 9, I think he regressed massively last year.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if it was because Benji was there. He couldn't handle the situations that he was put in last year. But he was very, very poor. And hopefully he can sort of, a couple of years ago, he was Dally M halfback of the year. I don't know how far you can regress in a year. And he did. There was a couple of times there Benji had to carry the team last year. So, yeah, I'm not sold on their 9, 7 and 6 or fullback. They've bought really well, but I just think it's going to be one of those years where they just lose, probably 8 games by, 2 to 10 points.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can have as much, like strength around you, like Big Joe off Engao. You got James Roberts to strike centre, James Tarmow. Just go off those 3 guys. You should be a decent team. Doesn't matter. You need the 9, 7 and 6 steering you around.
The 9 is an issue, I think.
Big time.
But you never know. This kid, they reckon this kid's good.
Who is it?
Little Liddell.
Yeah,
but
right.
He's injured every 5 seconds, so it's hard to know. All right. The Titans, William, they have got the biggest hype train around them of all time.
Is it real?
I don't know. Is it? I'm looking at who they bought. It's dominated by Famasalawea and Fafita.
Will he be happy with how you pronounce it?
No, he won't. I just said it and I went, that was awful. That was a terrible attempt.
You're a kid.
SASA is another good buy. They've lost really just Jai Arrow.
That's it. You got it? No.
Do you know what? I am actually going to practice that because I'm going to be saying his name.
Let's call him Big T.
Big Tino. I do apologise for that.
Did you see that try scored?
I did.
There was just nothing happening. Footwork, bang, outside the 4-man, straighten up, changing hands. Like it was. I think people just look at it as a big, strong human. No, the skill level that he showed to get through that gap, the footwork, left palm, changed it back into his left with a right palm to put the ball down. Is ridiculous. I think he's going to be the buy of the year.
I think he's a better buy than Fafita.
They're going to be on par. I think a lot of I've been talking to some football aficionados. Like David Fafita, he's an edge player.
Yeah,
isn't he? But you want him to get more involved. Yeah. If I was a coach, I would swap because Tino's playing lock. I would swap him in and out. So I want David Fafita attacking both sides of the ruck. Anywhere, instead of sitting him on a right edge or sitting him on the left edge, I would get Big Tino to start at lock and then give him a rest and then put David Fafita back at lock for the back end of the 10 minutes to finish the half. I'd give him ample opportunity just to create what he wants just off the 9, both sides of the ruck, because he can play both sides of the ruck. He's got freakish footwork. He changes hands really good. It doesn't matter what side he plays. He's an animal. But if you sit him on that right side or left side, teams will game plan for him, and they know what he does. And if you just sit there on the left edge or the right edge, the defensive coordinators will figure you out. I mean, he's a big, strong animal. He's ridiculous. He's going to get his chances. But if you can just put him at lock for like maybe 10, 15 minutes of every half, and maybe play both of them about 65 to 70 minutes, have them both on, pretty regular, then you're in. You're in for it. Like I don't want David Fifita. If you're a left edge and he's on the right edge, I want to swap edges. If I'm that halfback or 5'8", and then he gets you on the other side as well. Do you know what I mean? So you can't just stick him on one side just to terrorise that one bloke. He needs to be both sides of the ruck because he's that talented.
Have you put all of the Titans games in your phone so that you can watch them just in case Jamil Fogarty's got his shirt off?
I've been stalking Jamil Fogarty. He's ripped. How jacked does he look?
All the time. You follow him on Instagram just to get his shirt off.
He doesn't follow me. It's ridiculous.
He doesn't?
I think that'll be good,
knew the
man.
love that you had for his body.
I didn't know Tyron Roberts got released either. So they must have big raps on him.
Yeah, look, I think the Titans are definitely going to be improvers. Whether they're that.
I wouldn't be saying top 4 or anything. They're going to be one of those teams that are going to be fighting for that 8 spot.
All right, the Sharks, speaking of sides that are sort of, I don't know. Are they getting anywhere?
I don't know.
This year?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. They got Aiden Tolman.
They bought
Aiden Tolman.
They've got some salary cap problems, man. With Moylan and Dugan. Not even worried about the money that they're on. Get all the money you can, boys. But I know they'll be. Look who they got: Aiden Tolman and Luke Metcalf. That's it.
Who's Luke Metcalf?
I don't know who Luke Metcalf is. Hopefully he's a good player, but they've lost Cameron King, Bakuya, Sorensen, Bryson Goodwin, and they're not even household names. None of these kids, man. You got Fafita and Wade Graham. Most of those guys are, they're getting to that level. Like 30 plus, where their best football is on, is behind them. So it's going to suck. They're in a bit of a pickle here. I think they got Cameron McInnes. Oh, that's 2022, isn't it?
Next year.
Wow, I feel sorry for him.
Poor bloke.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sold on the Sharks. I'm just not. Who have they got? Who are their halves? Townsend and Johnson. Johnson coming back from an Achilles problem, man.
Moylan's playing 5'8".
Moylan's obviously he's had a great preseason, but I don't give a fuck about preseason. I want to see you play 24 games.
John Morris has got to be the first coach that'll get the arse. I mean, if he doesn't win, there's already whispers he's gone, which is a shame because I think he's probably,
he's one of those coaches that are too young.
He's cleaning up other people's messes too.
It's like when Nathan Brown coming to St. George, he's played with guys like Trent Barrett. I'm not going to fucking listen to him. If I was a player who was playing and I had a coach who was nowhere near as good as me or anything like that, and he's trying to tell me how to play, I'd listen to him. But I'm just saying, I'm just telling you people at home how actual players think. They're not going to give you that full credit. Like if Wayne Bennett's talking to you, yeah, it's different. Craig Bellamy, yeah, it's different. Dudes who've, that are just sort of club players and all that kind of shit, man. Like, if you're a current player that's played Origin in Australia and all that kind of stuff, ticked every single box in the game, you're not going to listen to that. That's the way it is. I'm sorry.
Your old club. I've actually refrained from saying your old club because
there's about 6 of them.
Yeah. The Knights.
Yeah.
The club that, probably was one of the ones that, you grew up in the Newcastle,
I'm a Newcastle
region.
boy, man. I love Newcastle.
Yeah, so...
what do you think of the Newcastle? Underachievers last year? Or?
Definitely.
Yeah?
Definitely.
They got to the finals, but I think they got cleaned up, didn't they?
Yeah, and I think that one thing that you kept talking about last year was their lack of edge punch with Fitzgibbon and Guerra, and Tyson Frizzell's going to give them a lot on that, from that front. But I think it's a question. They still really don't know who their 6 is. I mean, they're going to play Blake Green, I think, again.
Yeah, I would play Blake Green.
But he's getting towards the back end. With him.
But the way that he plays, he can get away with that.
Yeah.
He's not an explosive player. He ain't gonna attack the line like a Sean Johnson or a Munster and try and break the line. He's game IQ, rugby league IQ, the passing, the kicking, the game management, all that kind of stuff. Where Piercy doesn't have to do everything. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy what he has to do, and hopefully he can just sort of chill back, relax, get his defence on, his attacking on, have a connection with Tyson Frizzell there. The left edge, I'm not sure who it is. It's not Fitzgibbon because he's injured.
Well, I think they might play.
Is it Barnett? So
They
Mitch
might play
Barnett, and I think their lock will be
Connor Watson.
So they're trying to go small, like they're trying to copy the blueprint of your Cameron Murray's and Victor Radley's and Jake Trbojevic, where your lock is a bit of a rover, takes pressure off the halfback, so they get their forwards going. You need big Saifidi and big Clemmer hitting holes off Cameron. Off the lock there. And who's the other kid? I think he played 5'8" last year.
Kurt Mann.
Yeah. So they're going to be tossing between those two blokes. So I think Kurt Mann will be off the bench, and one of them be starting or off the bench. And then it can give the 9 a little bit of a break as well. So that's the sort of balance they're going through, because I just think they'll struggle with, as I said last year, they all play similar. Very, very north-south. There's not much footwork. There's not much punch on the edge. The lock doesn't ball play. It's just very basic football. One-dimensional. And teams who play against them, you mark up on Ponga, you shut Ponga down, you shut Pearce down, you win the game.
Well, he's out for the first little while, Ponga. I think if they start slowly, the Knights, then they could have some rumbles, I reckon, because they're the sort of side that, if they showed last year when the pressure was on a couple of times, they crumbled in games they should have won. So hopefully they go all right, because I do like the Knights.
They'll be all right.
The Rabbitohs finished 6th last year. I thought they finished higher than that, but they did not. So they've got Jai Arrow, Josh Mansell's a good buy, Benji Marshall, the wily old fox. They've lost a few.
Jacob Host is good.
He's a good player.
Tau Moga's good. Tane Milne, I think they've recruited really well.
That's depth. They're depth signings, though.
Yeah. I know that.
But, look, the way Latrell Mitchell started off the year and the way he's played in that All-Stars game and also in the trial, the way Cody Walker, Souths are going to be, if they are on, they showed that last year, they can beat anyone.
Yeah, and it's their defence just needs to show up. And they've got that Jacob Host and Jai Arrow just to clean everything up. I think they're going to be hard to beat. All they need is some really quick play of the balls. I said it last year. You got to inject Cook into the game. And how do you do that? You just jam through the ruck, quick play the balls, get Tom Burgess and Totola, Arrow, everybody going through the middle, then bang, the whole game opens up. So they need to understand that those middle guys have got the most important job in the NRL is getting quick play of the balls for Cook.
Yeah,
that's all it is. It's your only job. And I think with the ball playing skills at Totoli's, I think he's his 4th year now, and Tom Burgess is a vet now. Jai Arrow, got these young kids, Kaloa Matangi, all these guys coming off the bench. You've got about 25 guys can fit into 17. That's what breeds greatness.
Yeah, and I think with one more year under their belt playing that way and getting Cody Walker front foot ball, you let him run, he can rip sides apart.
And having Latrell just be Latrell. He looks fit. I mean, he's probably still got to lose about 4 kilos maybe and get into shape.
He should
I don't think people realise how big Latrell is. He's like 6'3", man, like 100 and something kilos. He throws people off like a rag doll.
Get him on this juice diet I'm on. It's good. Lose 4 kilos in about 3 hours. All right, the Raiders. I really like the Raiders. They haven't really bought anyone. They've lost. They bought Ryan James. It'd be good to see him have a good year, but they've lost Bateman and they've lost Kotrick. But I still look at that side and just the combinations they've got and the balance they've got. I really like this Raiders side. They were 1 game off the grand final. They lost the grand final the year before.
I think they'll be good. Yeah, I think they'll be around. They'll be definitely in the top 8. I think that you're just going to expect the same. I think I'm expecting the same. Just a real good fight right to the end. They're probably going to get to the preliminary. And then, it's up to, the bounce of the ball and stuff like that in those preliminaries. And I think they got the team to get to the grand final easily.
Yeah.
It's just one of those years. And sometimes when you have that attitude, it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You sit there, it's going to happen. It'll happen. Then these younger teams just come in and just eat you up, and then you just go down.
Yeah.
So I think with the coaching there and the leadership that they have in these key pivotal roles, they can get through.
The Roosters, actually, you know what, with the Raiders, one thing, do you think Ryan James, if a fit Ryan James is playing, does he make the 17?
Yeah, if he's fit. I mean, like I'm not sure who their back row is going to be or anything. He's definitely on the bench. You got Big Papali there and, Dynamis Lou, got the crazy redhead coming back. He'll be in the 17.
You
He
reckon?
has to be.
Yeah. It's
They
hard.
don't really lose. I mean, yeah, exactly. It's like what point of difference can you bring, Ryan James? You know, are you just going to be a basic forward? Are you just going to do your hit-ups and get your 20 hit-ups and 20 tackles and all that kind of stuff? Because you need to give Papali the ball, and he's going to get all the good ball. You're just going to be that battering ram. It's, you know, like the Sia Soliola, Danama Slew that gets those the second or third play. And then Big Papa gets off the back of that, and he has really good shape. He gets block shape. He's got a lead runner. He's got a guy at the back. He can dig in by himself, or he can pass the ball. You know, Papali deserves that shape because he's been around the game for a while, and he's a vet, and he's probably the best forward in the game as well. So, you know, he's going to be a role player. You know, I think he's about 30 years old, 31, 32. Yeah. So he's going to be a role player where he's not going to get the good ball like he did at the Titans.
I wish him well, to be honest.
I just hope he gets through a season where he gets uninjured.
The Roosters, I think the Roosters' run is going to be completely dependent on whether Luke Keary stays fit or not. If they lose Luke Keary and they've got two rookies in the halves, whether it's Lachlan Lamb and Sam Walker or whatever it might be, they've got Kieran they've bought, and they've got Drew Hutchison, who's been in and around that sort of halves for those. But I just think they would have a Ferrari without a driver. Ferrari.
They're going to be. It's going to be interesting to watch the Roosters. Everyone's going to be gunning for them. You know, and I think, you know, Steph Curry, I think they've been struggling. This is an NBA reference. They've been struggling a fair bit, and they've been getting flogged by teams. He's like, people have got memories of getting pretty. He didn't say in these words. They got bad memories of us flogging the hell out of them a couple of years ago. That's what the Roosters were doing to people for the last 3 or 4 years. So these teams that are coming up in the game, they're not going to feel sorry for the Roosters if they're struggling, and they're getting a little bit old and all that kind of stuff. They're going to put the foot down and just absolutely flog them because everybody loves beating the Roosters, and that's what's going to happen this year. If they're not at the top, if they're sort of floating around 7, 8, 9, 10. Teams are going to be running real hard. And if the foot's on there, if it's like 24-10, they're going to be going for like 40 or 50. So they'll be gunning for the Roosters, but they've got some great players, mate. I just hope to God they look after him. Jake Friend and, their skipper, Boyd Cordner. I just hope they look after these guys.
I reckon the first time that I thought this Roosters, and it has been a dynasty with these players,
it has been, mate.
And I looked at when they got pumped by South in that last game of the regular season last year, they just didn't look like a Roosters team. And then they went out in straight sets. I just wonder how much of a hangover there's going to be. Trent Robinson's a smart coach, and I'm sure he would make sure that, you know, the players that needed rests and the players, you know, he would be very good with that. But I don't know. I'm nervous about this year being a Roosters supporter.
I think they'll be all right. You know, you got Takayaho and Hargraves and, you know, Friend. You probably put Crichton on that left edge. You got, you know, like Isaac Liu. Like, you know, you got some freak players there.
Still a good side.
Tupanua on that right edge. You know, exactly. A couple of key players, and then they're done.
The one fan you wouldn't want to be every year is a Parramatta Eels fan because they are rocks or diamonds with what they throw up every year. So they've had a fairly big turnover of players. They haven't really bought anyone. I mean, they've bought a couple of Titans players in Bryce Cartwright and Hipgrave.
Yeah, Cartwright's done his draw as well. I mean, Oldfield's got injured as Obachek, Papali, Joey Lussick. Yeah, they haven't bought anyone outstanding. I thought Bryce Cartwright has been – I think he would have been outstanding for them this year. They've lost a shitload of players, a lot of but not real household names and gun players. I think I'm not sure. I think they'll digress massively this year.
Yeah,
I just think they're that sort of club. You know, the leadership and the players that they've got there at the moment are talented, but I just think it's that sort of club they can go from a top 4 and then out of the 8. Yeah, it's just it's one of those clubs. So I think it'd be that year.
I do worry about them this year. I mean, I don't worry about them because I don't like Westies, but I'm only joking. I love the Western Suburbs. But, yeah, I think the Eels, I think they're in trouble this year, to be honest. So one team that just keeps turning up year on year on year is the Melbourne Storm. The Melbourne Storm, without Cameron Smith for the first time since 1974. They've got Remus Smith, who I think is a terrific buy. He'll replace Vunivalu.
He'll play for New Zealand this year.
Like for like. Harry Grant has been the find of last year, no question.
What a freak, eh?
He's injured and they stick Brandon Smith in. So that's tough.
Terrible backup.
Yeah, horrible. So, I don't know. The Storm just keep doing the Storm.
Not really worried about the Storm. They're going to be a top 4 team. You know, George Jennings going to be a good backup. Remus Smith's going to be on the wing. Harry Grant will be at the 9 when he gets back. You know, losing big Suluasi. Yeah, they've got another winger there straight away. I'm not sure about his name. Big Tino. He's going to be hard to replace, but he's only a young kid. He's only showing glimpses of what he's capable of last year. But, you know, they'll have some young kid to replace all these kids. Cameron Smith's the main one.
Yeah.
You can't replace Cameron Smith. You know, as good as Harry Grant finished the year last year, it's still not Cameron Smith. So it'll be interesting. The game management on that on Cameron Smith is second to none. Nobody can ever question that, and it'll be very noticeable on the Storm's play this year when they need to get the ball out, the good kick, just that pressure play. You know, who's going to do that?
Yeah, and I think also we've talked about it before. Just when you're down and your team's really in trouble, you tend to look to certain players. You know, when you're behind the goalpost or whatever, you look at players and not looking at having Cameron Smith there calming you down. That's going to be a big thing for them.
It will be.
All right, so the last team, the minor premiers of last year, was the Penrith Panthers, also from the Western Suburbs. And again, I love everyone from the Western Suburbs. Congratulations.
He doesn't.
I do. So I don't know. They haven't really bought anyone. They don't really need to, do they? They've got so much depth out there.
Some losses there. Big. I mean, Jack's been gone for a while. James Tarmow, Zane Tedovano. That's some. Dean Farre. They're the losses that you got to count.
Yeah, the experience.
There's a lot of games and experience there, and I don't think they've got the cattle there to replace James Tarmow or even Dean Farre as a defensive centre. I'm not sure. And even who's the winger that went?
Mansell.
So Mansell had a really good year last year. We've got that other kid that I'm not sure who's the young kid that they just pretty much flicked him for. The winger that played only 3 or 4 games. Charlie Staines.
Yeah.
They've flicked Mansell, you know, veteran of the game.
He'd want to be good.
He wants to. Yeah, he'd want to be good. So I think they'll regress a bit. They won't be as dominant as last year, winning 17 games in a row, anything like that. So they'll come back to the field. Not really much to say about those guys.
Yeah, I think the top 4 sort of sits itself.
Yeah.
An Elmo doll that wants to kill its owner.
A kids' TV show where the main character has a giant penis.
Poop-flavoured ice
A
cream.
meme that destroyed someone's life.
These are just a few of the hot button issues we tackle here on That Sucks.
A podcast for your ears.
I'm Troy Nababan.
And I'm Dan Cribb.
And if you don't listen to That Sucks on Handshake Agency Network, then you suck.
Join us each fortnight as we unpack some of the biggest fails across pop culture and beyond, joined by the occasional special guest.
Head over to thepodcasts.com.au to check out That Sucks now.
You can also find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever good podcasts are sold.
So we've been through, not predictions from last year, but before we go into our predictions for this year, and I really don't enjoy doing this, William, but last year we put some stuff in the vault at the start of the year in terms of predictions, which we're going to do again this year. They're just going to replay your predictions from last year.
Okay.
And we're going to have a look at how you went.
All right, man. Yeah, I think this year we'll be lucky to start the year, maybe get a couple of games out, and I wouldn't be surprised, man, if they just halt the whole season. I've been looking overseas and seeing what's happening with NFL and all these other teams. They're just, with soccer and everything going on over there, all these other major sports, man. And if they're gonna do that to some of the biggest sports in the world, why wouldn't they do it to the NRL, man? So it'll be pretty scary, bro. It's gonna be one of those years. I'd probably predict that COVID will probably stop the whole year. I'm not sure how long, maybe a couple of months here and there, because there's going to be testing everywhere. But we can't just go, okay, well, every NRL player's in this bubble and no one's going to be going out and not contacted with people. They're going to have to be real stringent with the rules, man. So I think they might have a couple of months off, and then they're probably going to have to come back. And I see some teams overseas thinking about coming back with no crowds, nobody, and that's probably going to be the reality with it, man. It's just like sitting back and let this COVID thing ride out and hopefully come back I'm not sure, whenever the government allows us. I mean, Pete V'landys doing such a super job and what he's doing now, but going to be hard, man. Probably have a bit of a break, come back and then finish the year off. So it's going to be crazy, man. But anyway, my predictions for the top 8 will be, I think the Storm's always going to be there. The Storm, Roosters, Rabbits, they're always around there. I think maybe the Sharks and the Knights will push for it. Eels will be somewhere, Raiders, and I think the Panthers might come out of nowhere, man. They've been building. When Gus was back there, about 5 or 6 years ago, this is where he bought the Kick-Owls, and the Crichtons were coming through the SG ball system, the Clearys and all these young kids. And now, the fruits of his labour is, it's showing now. So I still think the Storm, with all this COVID stuff going on, I'm looking at head coaches. I'm looking at Craig Bellamy's. I'm looking at, your Wayne Bennett's, Ricky Stewart's. They're the guys that are going to get their team home because they're going to be focused and be on that one-track mind of winning the premiership. And I just think some of these young coaches, and even Trent Robinson, for that fact, he's going to get his boys, right down there. So, yeah, I think the Storm will win. I just think they'll just really bunker down, have that siege mentality, and get out. Dally M winner, I think the Raiders will make a good push this year, and I just think Jack Whiten's just on another level. He's been killing it. If he plays 5'8" this year or a bit of centre, I think he can dominate the game. Him, I think Cleary and I think maybe Keary, all the halves in some sides. Like maybe Munster, Cam Smith will be up there, maybe Ponga. But I think Jack White, because he's in that team and he's a superstar down there. So if they do end up going all right, he's going to jag the 3 points all the time. So they're my predictions.
Well, that was actually scarily accurate, William. Not only did
I'm actually good.
Not only did you predict basically the top 8, you got the grand final winner.
I told you the Storm were going to win.
I said the Roosters would win, and I was wrong.
Yeah, but you were close.
I was close.
Well done.
Not as close as you.
Nowhere near it.
So you've got more pressure on you than I do this year because here we go, Mr. 100%er.
I can only go down for me.
Dr. Willie predicted a pandemic finishing as well. So, all right, let's start with your top 8.
Okay. All right. Mine is the Rabbits to finish number 1, Storm, Raiders, Roosters, Knights, Penrith, Titans, and then Bulldogs.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
what's yours?
Well, I agree with you for the first year. I'm going Rabbits, Storm, Raiders. Then I'm putting Penrith ahead of the Roosters.
Okay.
And then I am going Titans, Tigers, Knights.
Okay.
So I think the Tigers will be big improvers. I've kind of convinced myself that the Cowboys should have been in that, but it's too late now. So
yeah, and even the Warriors.
Yeah,
I think the Warriors.
Do you know what? I'll tell you what it is.
But the Warriors. As I said, I don't think the Warriors will come through. I just think it'll be a different attitude.
There's like 4 or 5 teams that are genuinely better, and then there's 5 or 6 teams that could easily fit between.
You know what I love that. I love that.
And,
I love that we can pick a top 6 quite easily.
Yeah,
but the 6 to 12. Very hard. Very hard. Could be a lot of people. And like we're putting the Dragons and the Broncos at the bottom. Fuck, who knows? You just don't know with this comp. It's the beauty of the salary cap. It evens a lot of things out. And it'll be a crazy year, man. It'll be crazy. I just can't. I really can't separate from 7 to 12. Like we could have put the Cowboys in there.
Yeah.
The Sharks. You don't know what sort of year. You don't know what year these other guys are going to have. So when we're selecting our teams, we're just looking at 1 to 17. If they compete every week at their best, that's the way I select teams. From 1 to 17, if they play out of 10, everyone plays a 10 out of 10 game. They're the teams that are going to be at the end, and that's why I've got the Rabbits, the Storm, the Raiders, the Roosters. That's why I think if they play to their potential every single game, they'll beat most teams.
Yeah.
Even if the other teams have played to their potential. That's the way I think. But I don't put in the factor that injuries are going to happen.
Yeah.
And people actually play really shit sometimes. Do you know what I mean? I'm always trying to look for the best thing. They're going to have a 10 out of 10 season. Everyone plays well on a fair playing field. That's the way I look at it.
So, grand final.
Mine is South and Melbourne. I think Souths are going to be – that's the team to beat. And I'm not just going off the 60 minutes that they put against St George. St George were quite poor, but they look like they've got the whole thing there. Wayne Bennett is the coach for the last year. It's like the swan song thing, win another premiership and go up and just do whatever you want and just tell the Jets to pay you $5 million a year.
Which they probably would.
Yeah.
And I'm also going with South, and it goes against everything.
But why do you think South? Is it the same sort of reasons? They just have quality players all over the field.
I just think I look at that South side and I look at the team that's stuck together now. This is the third year under Bennett, and they've been building, and they showed what they're capable of towards the back end of last year.
4 years being beaten in that preliminary.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that's not hurting.
Yeah.
And then I think Cody Walker's been involved and Adam Reynolds has been involved. Adam Reynolds looks amazing.
Yeah.
Last couple of years he's been getting pretty hammered in the media and stuff
and
like that.
He's playing for contract.
Yeah,
now.
he's playing off. He's off contract. He's a top 10 halfback in the game, probably top 5.
Yeah.
When it's common denominator, when he is on, they
Souths
win.
are on.
They win. He holds so much energy in that team. Even as much as Cody Walker. I just think that they've got their whole team there. They've got everything there, regardless of injuries. If they put their best 17 on, and it's going to be an effort for these young kids to actually get into the 17. And that's when you got a great team. When you've got about 25 players, you can pick your 1 to 13, and then your 14, 15 maybe, and then 16, 17, 18, 19. They're gunning for those 2 or 3 spots. And that's what Souths are in. If
Reynolds does get injured, and he is a bit injury prone, then they've got Benji Marshall.
Yeah, but what do you do with Souths now? So just say Benji, he's a vet. He's been around the game for so long. What do you do for the 14 spot? Because take into account, it's not 10 years ago when you can just go 4 forwards, ask Freddie. 4 forwards, let's put them on the bench. Let's have a think about everybody's getting hit. The HIA is in effect. The fitness levels, the wingers are getting hit, the halves are getting hit. Everybody's getting hit. And fatigue factor, HIA factors, you're going to have to put a person like Benji on the bench.
Well,
because he can play any position. Yeah, I know that, but have a look at every other team as well. Do they have a Benji Marshall? Do they have that sort of player that can play everywhere? Because these coaches actually have to put some real work in. You can't just pick your traditional middle guys and one guy who can play on the edge and in the middle, and then the other guy who can just play hooker. That hooker needs to be able to play hooker, half, 5'8", and anywhere in the background.
And South had the advantage of Damien Cook is one of the very few 80-minute hookers that are left, especially with this pace.
But understand what I just said. Big guys will be running at him, and don't try and think that big guys run at little guys just so they can get their stats up. You want to destroy them. You get that ball and you want to knock these kids out. You don't care. You want to injure these other kids. That's the way you play. You're a big guy. You're going at that hooker. You want to spot Damien Cook up. You want to spot any of the good hookers in the game to try and nullify their attack. That's what happens. Big boys from every other side, they're going to be running at Damien Cook. So they're therefore more danger with HIAs, more danger with all that kind of stuff. Everything, all these little variables in the game, man.
Would they play Marshall at 9 though?
He could easily play 9.
You reckon?
He can easily play 9.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of where he can play, and he's so he's a veteran of the game, man.
I wouldn't want to see them running at him though, to be honest.
But you can hide that. You can hide him. You can only a little bit. I don't think but some games he's just going to have to tough it out. Like Benji's, he's not a traditionally great defender, but he can defend.
So Dally M. Who will win?
I've got Munster. And not because I think he finished the year off great last year. I think because Cameron Smith has gone out of Melbourne, and now I think they're probably going to win over 15 games, well over 15 games. And if they do that, he's a big responsibility. And I think he'll get 3 points most of the time.
Yeah.
Instead of Cameron Smith orchestrates big wins all the time, he's usually in the Dally M count all the time. So Cameron Smith gone. Harry Grant not playing the first 4 or 5 games. Cameron Munster, if they win 4 games, he's going to get 3 points.
Yeah.
And I think that's a factor there. That's why I picked him. And I think maybe the guys like Cleary and Cleary last year, and any person who's a dominant player that's in a really good team, without any other superstars, they usually win.
Well, that's actually why I've picked Nathan Cleary. So I picked Cleary this year.
You picked Cleary?
I have. Just because I think...
He got robbed last year.
He did. And that's not why I've done it this year. I think that in the second game of Origin, I think he
It's because you follow him on TikTok now.
I don't even know what TikTok is, honestly.
You do TikTok.
I don't. I don't. I
He
hate
does,
social
Pete,
media.
he does.
We're going to be better at social media this year. But the reason I've picked him is I saw him run the ball at Origin level, and I think
Game 2.
any coach that is worth their salt, especially if it's your dad, would go, see what you did in Origin? Now you're playing club football, run the ball more. You know? If he takes a line on at club level, he'll be so much more dominant. And I think that this could be the year that just something switches in him. All right, State of Origin. Speaking of State of Origin, who will win and what will the result be? Result?
Yeah, I think New South Wales will win. And probably 2-1. I think they'll drop the game at Suncorp. Hopefully it's a decider.
Yeah.
In New South Wales. And I think we'll get up. I think, I don't know. I'm still pissed off about last year.
I still can't believe they lost last year.
I still can't believe we were sitting here watching the game and like, we're going to get done. We're going to get done. So, be redemption for the Blues this year. Still got the side to win. I'm not sure we don't want to make massive changes. You know, hopefully Turbo's back and some other kids just grow out of the ground and really push for some spots. You know, I think we really our back five really struggled. Our centres, you know, we played people out of position. You know, we just need to play to our strengths and get the right people in the right position.
I think Queensland win, and the reason I think Queensland win is because they will have a better team this year than last year with the injuries. Fafita, Ponga.
Yeah, jeez, I forgot.
There's going to be they beat us basically with not a second.
They're still going to pick
but
AJ Brimson, man.
Yeah,
he's a gun Origin player.
Yeah.
He got injured and everything last year, and I think Ponga's really going to have to play. That's why I'm excited about Ponga. If he can get out of the blocks really good, even though he's going to have a shit start to the year with his shoulder, if he can come back and just hit some magic, you know, his goal will be making Origin because he's not the incumbent.
No.
And AJ Brimson proved to everybody that he can play at this level, so they will pick him because Queensland pick and stick.
And you got Valentine Holmes, he'd be better.
And Val Holmes, damn.
Yeah. All right. So last year we picked a headline. So what do you think will be a big headline? Last year I picked that Todd Greenberg would lose his job because Valenti's was ruthless. Thank you.
You made that up, man.
They didn't play that back, did they?
You made that up.
No one played that back. Go back and listen.
That is
100% true.
Man. No.
Really? We're talking
Is it on record? Is it on record? Is it on record?
It's on record.
It's not. Anyway.
I'm going to find
My headline is...
Willie's an arsehole.
That's already a headline. That's a fact. Sawali plays Origin.
It's a big call.
It is a big call. And I just think we're very low on outside backs. I think he can fit anywhere in the back five. Both centre positions, wing and fullback. So if anyone goes down, he's going to get the call. I don't think he'll be selected for game one, but out of the three, I think he'll be involved somewhere. Big call, maybe not, but hey.
No, but that's what we're here for. We're here for big calls like Peter Volandes sacking Todd Greenberg.
That's nothing, mate.
So the only thing that might stuff you on that little prediction is when does he turn 18? Because he's not allowed to. Oh, no, he's allowed to play.
Mate.
He's allowed to now.
Yeah. Didn't they solve that? When was
Uncle
it?
Nick
Yeah.
solved that. So my headline is, and I don't like
Imagine if he doesn't even play first grade.
Someone got picked from Reggie's playing reserve. So who got picked for Reggie's playing for Queensland? Remember that?
Yeah, I do. I just forget the name.
I forget the name too. You were playing for Origin when you played for Newtown too.
Yeah.
That's right. And Nate.
Blue bags.
My headline is that Boyd Cordner will retire from rugby league.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I think he's going to... I would hate to see it, but I would like to see it. Like if it's his health that's at risk, then, but ultimately I think...
One more head knock and that's it.
Yeah, I think that the welfare of the player needs to come first. And when I say Boyd Cordner retires, I don't mean that he is retired, as in someone retires him. I mean that he makes the decision himself, And
kudos
he's got
to the
more
Roosters. Roosters giving him the first 12 weeks off.
Yeah.
And maybe even should be a whole season.
Yeah.
Considering what he's done for that club and what he's put his body through for that club.
Yeah.
I think he can sit there and go, you know what, I'm having a year off.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think he deserves that just to get his brain right because, I do some work with Boyd in the off season. We have a chat and we talk, and my main focus is not about his football; it's about his health. How are you, Boyd? The questions like that. how's your health, everything like that. Make sure you take care of your health, because all the NRL teams care about is you playing your best football on the field. But you don't think that at that time. I'm retired. I understand. I've been in his position where all the clubs care about is like, what the fuck can I get out of Willie Mason or Boyd Cordner or whatever, maximise how good of a player he is, and then at the end of the day, they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
They really don't. I mean, the healthcare and everything like that, it's nothing. I'm 5 years retired now. You know what I mean? The game it just forgets about you. They don't really care. I'm fine, mentally, physically, everything. But a lot of the other guys who have been playing aren't as fortunate. There's head knocks, and the head knocks have not as been as severe as what he's been getting.
Yeah.
But when you're in that bubble, all they care, like just keep playing. I'm glad that the Roosters actually been very proactive with this, the 12 weeks, but I always care about his health, and I don't want him, because football is not forever. But when you're in that bubble, you just think it's forever. Oh my God, I need to do this. I let down my teammates. I'm captain of Australia, captain of New South Wales. All these variables and everything. You just think the whole weight of the world's on your shoulders, but it's not. Yeah. But you can't put that, you can't tell him that kind of stuff. Like he's such a great kid and a great leader and everything. Like I just hope to God he just thinks about his health. If he's got kids on the way, he's got a wife and all that kind of stuff. I'm not sure what happens in his personal life. Think of that first. Yeah. Because football is just a little minute, little fucking drop in your life.
It's true. All right.
Health is number one.
He should have a liver detox diet. Thanks, Elab. Peter V'landys last year, he dominated a lot of the media, old Pete. What do you think he's going to come up with this year? What will Pete V'landys
introduce? Push ahead, Pete.
I'll push ahead.
Hey?
That's a Melbourne term.
Melbourne, that's a producer.
That's a producer. I don't know what
it means. I think his big thing. I think a team in Sydney is going to relocate. Not sure who, but I just think we've been talking about it for years. It's St George's, Cronulla. Everyone just lives within 10 kilometres from each other. I think a team can afford to move if they're thinking about a Perth expansion. If you want to really make it a national rugby league. Adelaide, Perth, they're talking like even Papua New Guinea. Someone's going to have to move. If the Jets are going to be in Queensland, which is fair because Queensland's pretty much the breeding ground of rugby league and the mecca of rugby league, some Sydney team's going to have to move and go to Perth. I'm not sure what the Melbourne Storm are even going to do. I think Melbourne need to stay because of how successful they are. But because everyone was talking after Cam Smith and all that kind of stuff, Melbourne should go. Even 10 years ago, Melbourne should go because they don't get 100,000 supporters like Collingwood do. Doesn't matter. Still got to hold it down for Victoria. That's what the NRL look at. You've got to get one of these Sydney teams. St George, Cronulla. They're very, very close. Some team needs to go to Perth if they're thinking about an expansion. I think it's fair.
I think that I haven't really thought about this. What do I think? Do you know what? I think that Pete V'landys will introduce private ownership of clubs.
You reckon?
Like the NFL. There you go. So I think...
Like Tinkler?
Kind of. Yeah. Look, what just happened? So a private equity mob have put it together.
Rusty Balls, Crow?
Yeah. Well, he doesn't... Does he own it? He does own it.
Well, he is owner, yeah.
So there'll be
he does own it, so he's the owner.
He's the owner.
Yeah.
That's what it means.
You do the math.
So in the rugby union world, there's been a private equity mob come together and they want to buy the All Blacks or part of the All Blacks, 25%. And they're talking billions of dollars. So I think if that works and a private equity get involved in rugby union, I think that there's obviously a huge market for $1 billion industry for them to have more private industry involved. So there you go.
That's massive. Do you think if you were an investor, would you invest in rugby league? Just say if you didn't care about any other team. So you've got to think about a billionaire or millionaire who loves rugby league, which is rare. Russell Crowe is that dude.
Yeah.
Isn't he? He loves South Sydney. He's
and there's a bloke in England as well.
And it's not like you can, it's not like you're buying it like you're not trying to buy the Dallas Cowboys for $5.5 billion.
Yeah.
You're buying a club for $5 million, aren't you?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that expensive, is it? If you're a diehard supporter, if I was a billionaire or something, I'd buy the whole NRL because I love the sport. Yeah. There's a difference. I'm not buying it for an investment because it's a fucking shit investment.
That's probably why you're not a big.
I'm up there.
I reckon. Do you know what though? I look at if you. They reckon.
I'm buying the NRL.
Go on.
Yeah.
Is it for sale?
1
Pete?
billion
Call
lira.
us.
1 billion lira.
Pesos. I think anyone who invests in sport has to love it because you're not going to make money out of sport. Whether it's
well, have a look at LeBron James. He invests in Liverpool. He doesn't love soccer.
No,
he's a smart businessman. He knows that over there is massive money.
It's different.
If it doesn't matter, if you like, you're not going to invest over here. You have to have a passion for the game.
Yeah,
you have to be brought up around in Sydney or Queensland and stuff, and go, bang, I'm buying this because I love the Broncos. I love the Cowboys. I don't give a shit if it's a loss every year. I just want to buy it. Yeah. Like Tinkler. Tinkler was like that. I love Newcastle. I went for Newcastle my whole life. I'm buying it. I've got a couple of $100 million. I'm going to buy it. So it's a rarity. It is it's a rare thing to have.
I think if you get private equity involved in the running of the NRL itself.
Yeah. You're talking NRL. You're not just talking clubs.
NRL, not clubs. No, I'm talking NRL. So if you look at, if the NRL becomes a private entity and it's run by private organisations that just want to make money out of it, be interesting to see. And Pete Volandis would be the sort of bloke that he'd be into that.
Yeah.
So there you go.
He's into a lot of things.
I'll push ahead. All right, William. Well, I think that's it. I think we have done all of our predictions. We have got all of our headlines. We've got everything going. So,
all right,
there we go. This is going to be a big year for us, and we are looking forward to having you join us. Next week, we're back on the punt, and we're going to give clubs another opportunity to join Bungendore and Frankston, who won it last year.
They won last year?
Yep. And
we're going to thank you.
We're going to get down there as soon as we can. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to get down.
We're trying to get down there for Origin this year, if we can get to Frankston.
Yeah,
MCG
for sure.
would be good.
Sometime this year, definitely we'll get down to Bungendore and Frankston and meet all the gang there.
Heard Frankston goes off, sorry.
If your Maldies get up, maybe you can actually buy the NRL. So that'd be good. We just talked about that. So
in Turkey.
The other exciting news for us is that we've got a YouTube channel. So it's going live this week. You can watch us every week, both on Facebook or YouTube.
Yeah.
We're not counted as news, so Facebook are going to let us.
We're definitely not news.
We're not news. So subscribe to the Take YouTube channel today. I assume you know what that means because I don't. The other thing we're going to do on game day, we'll shove our views up on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
That's a mouthful.
It is. And basically, if you comment, we're going to really try and get back to you because we really do appreciate all the support we've had. And last year, we were learning at social media.
We're in our 40s, guys. You know what I mean? We're not like that. We don't interact with fans and all that kind of shit because, you know, and even last year with COVID and everything like that, it wasn't, we just wanted to like get our show up and all that kind of stuff. And that's about it. Obviously, this year, we're going to interact with you guys way, way more. So, send your questions in. We're going to have a computer here next week. We're going to be going live on Facebook. You can come in, just get on live, and just write whatever questions you want. We're going to interact with you guys and try and answer your questions live.
And swipe left, right, whatever you swipe.
Whatever,
just
up,
swipe
down, whatever way.
Wherever you like swiping. But make sure that you get on your favourite podcast app. And the producer has informed me this is very important. Subscribe, rate, and review. Apparently, that's important to us.
Yeah.
It really is important to us, isn't it, William?
I think so.
It's important.
It's very,
to us.
very important for me.
It's
not us.
You?
Yeah, just
it's important
me.
for us.
It's just important to me.
Just so rate, review, and subscribe. We're actually now part of a network as well. We're on the podcast.com.au. We're clearly the number one show on that, but there's some other good stuff as well. Not as good as us.
What does it have?
It's got music. They got an interview with Kings of Leon next week. Yeah.
Sex is on fire.
Your sex is on fire.
That was their number one hit. They're good, man.
Then you took tablets and it went away. But no, there is a lot of good shows on there. You should tune in, have a listen to all of those. Make sure you listen to us. Make sure you rate, review. We're really looking forward to interacting with everyone this year.
I honestly didn't even know we're doing that.
Well, what, interacting or?
Just the whole podcast thing. I didn't know we're that big.
Yeah, we're massive now. We're massive. And thanks to everyone for listening.
We'll be following Willie more and more. Back in the NRL. There's Willie Mason.
That's forgotten how big Willie actually is.
Perhaps the presence of Willie Panthers looking at his imposing frame.
I'm a 25-minute man. Oh, you got skill, son.
Uppercut right hand by Big Willie.
Too fancy for you.
Take with Willie Mason is a podcast from the Handshake Agency Network, co-hosted by Ian Byrne, produced by Craig Treweek, recorded and engineered by Zig Parker.